Okay, so in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to take models from Fortnite and put them into Unity to put into Vrchat. You can also use this method to put them into Blender or any other program that accepts FBXs, but this is like specifically for Vrchat. I'll show you how to do it in Blender at the end of the tutorial. So you're going to need a few things. You're going to need um, a program called UModel Viewer, or UE Viewer, we call it UModel, to rip skins from Unreal Engine games. And Fortnite runs on Unreal, so it can rip. You want to download just the most recent version, although I will give a word of warning. In the future, a lot of times an update may break UModel, and it will take Gilder, the producer of UModel, a few days to fix it. And some people may come out with temporary fixes, and so I'm gonna be posting anything like that in my Discord. I also have a full written out version of the tutorial, and I may also post the encryption keys, but you don't have to join my Discord, but it's something that you can do. We have a ton of other people that rip models to help. So once you have UModel, you're also going to need a program called 3ds Max. Now, I know a lot of people import the models with Blender and don't touch 3ds Max, but in my opinion, 3ds Max does it better. When you do it with Blender, it messes up the armatures. So what you want to do is you want to go to this link here. 3ds Max is normally a paid program made by Autodesk, but they're giving it free to most students, and I'm assuming that anyone watching this is a student. But if you're not, just say you are. They're not going to check. So you just click Create Account and go from there. It'll ask you what school you go to. You can just pick a random school, or if you want to be truthful, say a school you go to. A lot of schools are in on the offer. And then you want to, once you come back, you choose your version, your operating system, and your language, and you download it and install it. It's going to take a while. It's like 8 gigabytes. So if you have good internet, that'll be pretty quick. But if you don't, yikes. And then you also need Actor X Importer, which will actually import the models that you get from UModel into 3ds Max. And when you download it, you're going to take the script files, take them to Program Files, Autodesk, 3ds Max, and find scripts, and they're right here. You don't have to put them here, but it really helps if you do. So once you've got those installed, you're going to want to go to where you put your UModel installed. You want to keep it in the same place, in an organized place. You're going to be coming back here all the time. And you're just going to run UModel. So how this works is you need to tell it where Fortnite is, and so you could go through your C drive, program files, Epic Games, Fortnite game. You could do that. However, I personally have a text file where I just have the path here, and then just copy paste it. I'll include this in the description. Once you have the path, you need to click Override Game Detection with Unreal 4 and Engine 4.2.3. That will change because they're always making new Unreal Engine, so just always choose the most recent version. I'd recommend clicking Sound if you're going to be exporting sound, and Platform, PC, and click OK. So I'm going to ask you for an encryption key. This encryption key changes every update. So, like I said, you can get it from my Discord, but I don't post them that often. Or you can go to the guy who made UModel. He has a forum post that has a lot of the keys, and you can get it right here. So I'll include a link to here in the description. And you just put the key in, and you click OK. And it might take a little bit. You can see that it's doing stuff. Okay, so once you get UModel open, it will look like this, and these are all the game files. And if you're ripping characters, you care about characters, player, and male or female. In this case, we're going to be doing Remedy, so female. And here's where you usually want to choose medium for most skins. However, small is for the ninja-like type body type, and the large is for the constructor type body type. Those are from Save the World. However, In the future, there may be some skins that use the constructor type body type, like Ripley has that like kind of bigger body type that's fits with constructors, and so he's in large. So that may change, but their usual characters are just medium. The bodies and heads are split up, so you want to go to bodies first because it's easiest if you find the body first. And so here's where it can get a little bit hard because you need to find the code name for the skin because the code name for skins, they don't have the same exact name that they are in game. The names kind of more describe the character rather than say the name. Like 80s exercise is going to be that one exercise skin, and um, cyber karate is going to be, I think, Tsuki. Yeah. So you'll have to search through, just like look at ones that you think might describe what you want. And so I know the code name for Remedy is Rebirth Medic. Rebirth is like the whole chapter 2 thing. And so you want to open up the folder, and there are textures, meshes, and materials. You really only need these two. The materials we don't care about. We're going to be making our own. So if you double click, you can preview the model in this little window. It hasn't exported yet. And to go back to the view, you press O. Don't close. If you close, you'll close UModel. So once you find the model you want, you're going to click Export, and just leave all the settings the same, except for texture export. There's TGA, TGA uncompressed, or PNG. I'd recommend PNG. TGA isn't bad, it's unsupported by a lot of programs, so PNG is just more universally used. And once you set this, it'll keep it for like the rest of the duration you have it open. And you click OK, and it'll take a little bit to export. And so there you go, you've got the body. Now we need to find the head. But first, you'll notice that under meshes, there's an arrow that we can click, and there's parts. Parts is usually like things like sometimes hair and things like hats and masks. If it's a character that has like a full helmet, usually they're under parts. And so like the visitor, his head is under parts. And so you'll want to export the one you want, because of course there's the alter ego one. And you click export. And so when you export a model, it should export all the textures that go with it, but sometimes it doesn't, so and especially when there's like multiple color styles, you want to go to textures, right click, export folder content, and click OK. That'll just get all the textures in case you somehow missed any. Okay, so we found the body, we found the hair and hat, but we still don't have the head. And the thing is, if we go to heads instead of bodies, and we look for Rebirth Medic, we're not going to find one. Some skins, like the Sidewinder, they do have their own heads, but most of them don't. Most of them just reuse the base heads like Ramirez or Starfish or Sarah. So, which one is it? And that's where you'll have to use a little trick to figure out. So if you know the codename for a model, ours is Rebirth Medic, you want to type it in up here. The filter will filter the results here, but then flat view will search through everything. And so basically, right now we're viewing all of the files with the name Rebirth Medic. What you want to do from here is type part. This will give you you want to find character parts, female, medium, heads, and this contains the information about the head, not the actual mesh, just some information. And instead of clicking export, you want to click save packages, and just click OK. So once you have that, you want to get a program called HXD. It's a hex editor. I mean, any other hex editor will work, but I like this one. And you want to go to your UModel directory, and you're going to see UModel export and UModel saved. The export is for the things we export, the saved is for the things we saved. So you want to take Rebirth Medic UAsset, not the U export, UAsset, and drag it in. And so you'll notice some text over here. This is what we care about. We're going to find the mesh. So we press Control F to search, type in mesh, and we'll see female medium heads, ASN starfish. This is the head that it uses, and specifically starfish head 02. For some reason, starfish has multiple versions. So now we know exactly what head it uses, which is a neat trick. And so we turn off flat view and make sure to clear your filter, because if you notice, if we type in stuff in our filter, we won't see anything. We have to delete it. So we go back to heads, and we know it's starfish. And sometimes there are like skins that go with it, like they'll have different textures. So you're gonna click skin, see if there's anything here. It doesn't look like it. So just go to meshes, O2, and we'll export that. And so now we should have everything we need exported from UModel, ready to take over to 3ds Max. So if you installed your Actor X importer in the right place, you should just be able to click Scripting, Run Script, and they'll appear right here. You want to click Actor X Importer, not Exporter. Then you click Import PSK, and you want to navigate to where you have UModel installed. And when you open up the export folder and go to Game, you should recognize all of this. This is the same file structure that is in UModel here. So you just navigate to where it was. Character, player, female, medium, bodies. And I have a ton exported, but if this is your first one, it'll be the only one there. Meshes, and you open up PSK files. And you have to wait for it to import. And here we see our body, but we also need the head and the hair. So when you import multiple things, it will connect the bones automatically, which is one advantage for the 3ds Max way instead of the straight Blender way. And then you gotta get your head, and remember it's not Sarah, starfish. 02. And so you'll notice there's actually a few problems with it. One, we have the original head's hair sticking out of our model, and so we'll have to stick this into Blender to fix up a few things. So just export it to wherever you want. I have all of mine stored here. Where's Remedy? And it'll pop up some stuff. If it ever pops up anything, just click OK. It doesn't mean anything. So now that you have it exported from 3ds Max, you can't bring it into Unity yet. We have to fix up some things in Blender. So go to Blender, preferably 2.8. You can do this in 2.7, however. File, import FBX, and go to where you have it exported. And so you'll see the armature and the meshes. What you probably want to hide the armature. You don't want to see that stuff. So the first thing you want to do is you want to join all your meshes, because this will optimize the avatar. Having multiple meshes is just kind of not good. So you want to select all of them and press Control J. This will join all of them. See, we only have one here now. And now we need to remove the hair from the original model. So you want to go to the material list, because all the things are separated by materials. And press Tab to go into edit mode, and press A to deselect everything. So we want to find not the rebirth hair, but the starfish hair. We don't want that. So we click on it, and we click select. And if we're in edit mode, it will select all the vertices in that material. And we just press delete vertices. And also to optimize your avatar, you also want to remove the material. So you can only remove the materials in object mode, so press Tab, select it, and press the minus button. And we're getting close. There's one more thing we have to fix. Sometimes, especially with the body, it will create two materials and split it up, which increases the material count, which decreases the performance. So you want to join them. So go back into edit mode by pressing Tab, select the .001 and press select, and you see it's just some like weird stuff that really has no distinction why it's there. And you want to select the actual material and press assign. Now if you go back and you deselect everything, you press select, it'll select the whole body, meaning we know we did good. So go back into tab, click on the material, and press minus to remove it. And so now we've got our fewest amount of materials, we've got our hair deleted, we have one mesh, and now we're ready to export. So go to File, Export. And one thing when you export from Blender, for some reason they like to add quote leaf bones, which are the bones on the end that will unnecessarily increase your bone count, and that is unoptimized. It might not increase optimization, but Vrchat thinks it's unoptimized, and it'll increase your performance rating. So go to under Export FBX, Armatures, and turn off leaf bones. And then just overwrite the one you exported. Over on the Unity side of things. Oh, I forgot actually. Sometimes characters with selectable styles will have like things on them that aren't supposed to be there. Like Remedy doesn't have claws, or like you'll see that we got some weird intersecting stuff here. And so with some characters you have to do a little bit of manual work. And I'm not going to show all this on camera, but I'm going to show you how you might go to remove it. If you want to select like just this fingertip nail and not anything else, you don't want to go selecting one vertex by one by one. That'll take you forever. There's a hotkey where you just mouse over one of the vertices and press L, and it'll select everything connected to it. So you just click over everything you want to delete, press L, and then delete. And there you go. If you wanted to get rid of these vials here, you'll press L, and sometimes it won't select everything. You'll have to look around. It might be easier to switch into face mode. Press delete, and as well as these vials. Remember, it's L. Wait, no, that's the bag. We want to keep that. And sometimes stuff may get like stuck behind other things. So another neat trick is if you want to hide something, you press L and then H, and that'll hide it. And then we can press L and delete and continue deleting the stuff we don't need. Wait, that's something we need. And to bring it all back, press Alt H, and that'll bring back everything you had hidden, which is really nice if there's stuff in the way. Alright, so that should be everything that we need to remove. And now we can export. Most skins won't have that, but if it is and you don't know how to use Blender, you probably should go look up a tutorial. I'll link a pretty good one in the description. So, I've got this scene pre-set up, although the face is completely messed up. But for you, you're gonna have a new scene, so let me create a new scene. And you'll have your character here. And so now we need to set up the materials. So drag your character in, and my recommendation also is to rotate the directional light to face the character from head on. It makes the next step easier because you can actually see what it looks like. And you want to get your textures from what you exported. Sometimes they're in weird places, but usually the textures are going to be where they normally are: female medium bodies, rebirth, medic, textures, and here you see we've got the body meshes for both of them, but we don't have the head textures, and that's actually where I don't know where they are. And so this is where it might get a little bit hard. You'll have to search for where the textures might be, but one trick that I have is if you have if you're trying to find textures for a character, there's actually two. One of them is to type in the code name rebirth medic and click flat view, and I'll show you everything with rebirth medic in the name. We can search, and we can see that there are textures, and you can also put in like head, and we can see that accessories, media. Okay, so this one doesn't have any special head textures. It just uses starfish head textures. But we need to find... No, wait. No, yeah, then we're good if we just use the starfish head textures. So, just go to the heads and find starfish and just drag in the textures. Maybe not the hair because it has custom hair, but just the head. And once you get all your textures in, it'll look somewhat like this. And so now we need to create some materials for because it's not looking too hot. You can use your shader of choice. I personally have my own shader that I use, but one caution I will give you is that you always want to specify the standard shader before you put on your custom, because if people have your shader, like, let's say you have some, like, crazy, I don't know, no wait, weird shader like this that, like, what the hell? I don't know. Hold on, let me try and find a better example. Is there any, let's say you have some weird texture like this, and, weird shader, and it looks cool when people have your shaders enabled. But when they have your shaders disabled, it's gonna default back to the standard shader, and if you have nothing enabled, it's just gonna be white. So my precaution is to make it look good with standard before you put it on these special shaders. So albedo is your like color map. Um, for some reason it's black on my screen. Sometimes it does this, but this is the normal map, and you want to drag that into the normal map. And it might pop up saying, "Oh, this isn't specified." Here, let me do that. Apply. And so you'll see it'll say this texture is not marked as normal map, and by God, it's scuffed. Just click Fix Now, and it'll fix itself. So this looks fine with the standard shader, but I personally use my own one that I made in Shader Forge that allows me to use a lot of the other things. Like there's underscore S textures that contain information about like the metallicness and reflectivity and specular, and I'll link the shader in the description. So you want to drag in the diffuse, which is the color, the normal map, and it's looking a little weird until we put in the texture S, and now you'll see that it's kind of shiny. If you don't like how shiny it is, you can increase the roughness. Usually I have to do this for a lot of characters. I just might do like 1.5, 1.6, and it looks a little bit better. And so you repeat this for the head and the hat and the hair, and you get something that looks like this. And if you want to add emissions, you just drag in an emission texture. Also, if you want to add emissions to the standard shader, if you don't know how, you just click on emission and drag your texture, and you can also change the color. Back to the my shader. So you've got the material set up, but you still have a lot more things to do. Because right now, the model doesn't have any... Okay, wait, what the hell? Okay, pretend you didn't see that. You're going to import the model with no rigging whatsoever. So it'll... Why are you doing this to me? God damn it. Oh no. Alright, it'll import the model with no rigging. So you want to go to animation type, humanoid, and I'm going to show you how to do this the manual way first, but I'll then show you a way you can skip this, because you need to do this at least once. So you want to go create from this model, click apply, and for most characters, like if you're doing a MMD one, this is fine. It'll configure it absolutely fine, and everything will be fine. But if you try and do a Fortnite model like this, something weird is going to happen with the hands, and the characters have a metacarpal bone, which is a bone like inside of the hand here, and Vrchat or Unity loves to map that to the index. So your hand will bend at this point here and just contort, and it won't look pretty. So we need to fix that. So go to configure. You don't have to save your scene unless you've done a ton of other stuff. And here we have our character. And well, first off, VRChat doesn't like the upper chest being mapped, so you want to remove the upper chest. So you go click this button next to it and scroll all the way up and click None to unmap it. Personally, for the chest bone, I like to use spine 05, and for the spine bone, I like to use spine 03. Those, you can change those. All the others should be good. You want to go to the head and unmap the jaw and eye bones, because VRChat will try to do like eye tracking and mouth movement if you keep these in, but it doesn't look pretty. You have to do those things like using Cat's program if you want that all to work. So keep Neko 1 and head. And here's where you have to do some stuff, because you see, the thumb is fine, but you'll see that index proximal, so the first bone, it sets as the metacarpal bone, which, if we were to rotate that, you'll see that this is how your hand would move in game. That doesn't look pretty or natural. So, wait, I messed it up, hold on. Paste component values. Alright. So what you have to do is you have to just click one of these so it goes to the right part. You want to drag in index 01 into index proximal. It'll throw a little error, but ignore it. Index 02 into index intermediate, and index 03 into index distal. And so now you've fixed the index. You have to do it for every other finger, including middle 02, middle 03, ring 01, ring 02, and ring 03. And so this can get pretty tiring if you're doing this for every single model, and so that's why I'm going to show you a way that lets you skip it. Alright, so that's one hand done, and you would repeat the same steps for the right hand, but I'm not gonna because you know how to do that. And so you just apply it. And so that's all well and good. You've done it once. Now, if you're making a ton of models and you don't want to be doing that every single time, what you can do is, I personally have, like, Ramirez, because it's just like a base default. Actually, no. I have some, like, random base character that has the same skeleton system. I have this one configured up correctly with all the metacarpals and stuff, and this rigs up an avatar, this thing here, female, medium, base, whatever, avatar, and if you go back, you have to do this separate for male and female, they have different, like, rigging. Instead of creating from this model, you can click copy from other avatar, and for the source, you can type in medium, female, base, or you can go and actually find it and drag that in and click apply. And that way, it'll like kind of copy the settings from that other one, and you won't have to do that ever again. So I just recommend exporting like some female skin, doing it once, and then copying from that every time, and doing the same with male. So now we have the I gotta find it again. Now we have the rigging set up. We have the materials set up. I didn't save it, so I have to drag these all on again. And now we can start setting up the avatar so that we can actually use it in VRChat. Currently, the characters are actually really tall because my normal height I had them set at is scale of 0.42. And so this is how tall your character would be in game if you just upload it how it is. So you want to set it to 0.42 for normal human height. You can change that if you want to make it bigger or smaller. Okay. We now need to add an avatar component. Add component avatar. And change the view position. I like to kind of have it like between the eyes. So 1.6456. Alright, that looks good. Around these values usually work, so you can just copy those every time. It's fine if it's in the head, because what Vrchat will do is they'll scale down everything in the head down to 0 on your client side, so you can't see anything that's in your head. So like you could put it like behind the head, and you would still be able to see fine. Um, and then from there, you might think you're ready to upload, and you would be for any other avatar, but because we did the copy from other avatar thing here, there's one more step. If you did the create from this model and manually did it, you can skip this step because you'll already have an animator component, but we don't. So we gotta add one and go to avatar and put in the same base, and now it should work. And one way you can test this, if you have an animation, so I've got all these dances, and you drag in your character here, and it starts dancing, everything is good. If you didn't have that, and you look, it'll just T-pose. So we want that to not T-pose, so we keep the animator component with the base avatar. And so you should be ready to go. You can just go to Vrchat SDK and upload it. I'm not signed in though. So that is how you do the characters. If you want to do the dances, you gotta do a few more steps. So you have to go back into UModel for the dances. And the dances are located in a certain spot, but it's kind of useless if you can't preview them. So to preview them, you have to load in a character first. And one I always like to use to do that is go to male, medium, bodies. So normally all the characters have like separated heads and bodies, but for some reason Dark Paintballer, I have no. He's the Enforcer skin. I have no idea why he's called Dark Paintballer. He has the head on him already. So once you put the head in, you want to go to Skeletal Mesh, find animations, and let this run. You need to do this. Depending on your computer, this might take a while. Mine's pretty fast though, so I'll see you when it's done. So during that interim, I used that to watch what I've recorded, and I realized that doing a tutorial completely unplanned, without any rehearsal, kind of leads to me skipping around a bunch. So if you have any questions, ask in the comments, ask in the Discord. I'll try and help you. Anyway, so you've done your skeletal mesh, find animations, and you'll have two animations loaded. You can tell down here. You press the bracket keys to the right of P. You've got two left and right. And if you press space, it'll run the animations. You can see that these aren't really dances unless you have a very interpretive term to the mean dance. So to get the actual dances, you need to open up here, scroll up past characters. You can get rid of that. You want to go to animation, game, main player, emotes. And so most of the newer emotes have their own folder, and you like boogie down, blowing bubble, breakdance, burpee, cactus T-pose. Kind of the same. They have like code names. Some of the emotes, like Acoladas, do have their names though. And so the newer emotes will have their own folders, but some of the older ones, you have to click emotes, and you can see that like floss and intensity and some other ones, Robot Dance, Salute, they don't have their own folder. So make sure you check here if it's an older dance. But let's just do like, why not Epic Sax Guy? They've got pretty interpretive names. This would clearly phone it in. It has two CMF and CMM, female and male. You can just get away with exporting the male one. Some only have a male one actually. So once you have it here, do not double click it, because if you double click it, it will get rid of your character here, and you'll have to re-put it in and redo the find animations. Thankfully, that animation thing goes quicker the second time. So select it, open, and append, because that will add it instead of replacing it. You have to do the find animations again, but it'll go really quick this time. And once it's done that, you'll see that now we have one anim. And if we click right and click play, we have our little animation. He's doing the funny dance. Also, some emotes like intensity will have a start and a loop. And so I'll just import both of them so you can see. The start is like when you just start the emote from scratch, and then it stops, and then you can see here's the actual loop, and this will loop over and over, and I'll show you how to do that, and also repeat animations if you want to make the animation longer. So you found the animations that you want, you've previewed them, you've made sure they're all good, and where is the one that I wanted? Epic Sax Guy? You can just export it. And so if you go into 3ds Max, you might want to, you have to have a character to load it onto, and so you don't have to do this guy here, the enforcer. You could do any other character, but like I said, I just recommend the enforcer because he has all of his bones already set up. So go to File, New All, and we don't care about that. We already exported the FBX. So you want to import PSK, and go to your bodies folder, find Dark Paintballer. Don't get why it's called that at all. In fact, Thanos is called Jim in the files. Big Jim. He's extra large, and not just large. You go to import PSA, and we should see Epic Sax Guy. In older versions of the U-model, it exported somewhere weird, but thankfully now they go to where you found them. And when you import it, it won't actually load it. It'll just kind of like put it here. So to actually load it, you click Load Track. And it will take a little bit, especially for longer animations. You can now see we have our Epic Sax Man. You can preview it by clicking play. But it might be a little bit short, because it's only like maybe 7-ish seconds, and it loops here, but it won't loop in Vrchat. So if you make it longer, you'll have to click Import at Slider Position, drag the slider on the bottom all the way to the end, and click Load Track again. And you give it time. Okay. But one oddity is that it moves like the view thing. We're only seeing another loop of it, but we have animations before here. See, this is 230. We can't go back to 0, so actually you need to do this because if you export in its current state, it'll only export in one loop. So you need to go down here to this time configuration and start time. You want to set that to 0. And now you can see we have all 400 frames, and if we export it, it'll have both of our loops. It's now 442 frames instead of 221. And if you were doing a intro and loop, you would import the intro, and then you would do the import at slider position and put the loop at the end. So now that we have our animation, we go export, and we just export as another FBX. I have my own folder where I put all my animations. So I'm just going to name this Phone It In. Click Save. Okay. And there's one oddity where when you set it to the rig again, it will, if we go there, a common animations, we have our FBX here, and if we go to animation, you can see he's hitting it. But if we try and like click on this with any other model, it doesn't know what to do. We have to rig it as humanoid. So go to rig, and you might think that you would go to humanoid and copy from other avatar and use your what is it? Your male base, yeah, and apply. But there's one thing that's stopping you from doing this, because when you put a model through Blender, it actually adds an armature bone on top of it that when you export from 3ds Max, it doesn't. Where did? Okay, guess I can't show you, but you'll have to trust me on that. And so, I can actually show you, yeah. Remedy, armature, phone it in, it only has root. And so, to fix this, you could either have a export a model from 3ds Max and don't put it through Blender, and then rig that again and have like another thing, or probably the easier way is just to run it through Blender. So we go File, Import FBX, we import our character, phone it in. Am I recording? Yes, I am. That would suck if I wasn't. It might take you a little bit because having animations does increase the file size quite a bit. If we're talking file size, I actually have the animations for the entire Season 9 Showdown event, and they'd probably take up like 100 or something megabytes. So, like, I could put the Showdown event in VRChat if I want to make like a really large world. I'm gonna cut to where this finally loads. Okay, so I just recorded the whole next segment till the end of the tutorial, and I forgot to hit record, so, fuck me. Anyway, so you've got your guy in Blender, and now that it's in, you get it straight the funk out. Again, you click armatures, add leaf, uncheck add leaf bones. You technically don't need to, but it's a good habit. And you just export over top of your FBX that you made. And, you wait for it to import. And here you can see the animation that I made last time. But we don't need it because you didn't see how I made it. Because I didn't hit record. Okay, so you click on your guy. And now that we've redone the through Blender, we can click humanoid and copy it from our base one, so we don't have to do all the stuff again. If you don't have it, you'd go through the crate from this model and redo all the index finger stuff. You click apply, and you can retain an animation. First thing you need to do is you have to rename it because it has these like things in it that Unity doesn't like, so you gotta get rid of them. Phone it in, and you can see that if we were to drag our oh, come on. Give it a second. Okay. If we were to drag our remedy skin into here, it would start doing the emote. I realized that this... The hell? Okay, maybe this isn't the best animation to do with female skins, because the shoulders are kind of scuffed, but I'm just going to continue anyway. So you've got the name, phone it in. You click bake into pose and original for all of these, because if you don't, the feet kind of slide around and it looks weird. So make sure you click original and bake into pose, and you now see that it's going side to side and the feet aren't going weird. And you click apply. And so now that we've got this, we want to actually get the animation because this is just like a file. So you click on the arrow, click on phone it in, and press Control D, which duplicates it, and this duplicate is outside of this. Now, you don't need this anymore. Just make sure that before you do, if you click like Unity model down here, that it is doing the animation, because if it's just T-posing, you did something wrong. So you delete phone it in, and now we've got the guy doing the dance. And we have the dance, which is all good, but we don't have the sound. So to get the sound, you go to alright, you go to Game Athena. Athena is the code name for Battle Royale. It's also the code name for the old map. The code name for the new map is Apollo. And you go to Athena, sounds, emotes, and again, like the animation, some of the emote sound files are like in just the emotes folder. Some of them have their own folder. Personally, I just export all of them. I just like right-click emotes, export folder content, and click OK. Because you can't preview them, it like what you would be doing is you'd find one, then you'd export it, and then you'd view it. I just prefer to export all of them. It doesn't take too long. You go to UModel, export game, Athena, sounds, emotes, and now I just search for it. And so the code name was Epic Sax Guy. Epic Sax. And you'll see that we don't find it. Sometimes the code name for the animation is not the same as the sound file, so just type in like sax, and we might see, you know, saxophone, and you can preview it, make sure it's the right one. Yeah, that's the right one. And so you would drag it into Unity. I've already done it, so I'm not. And you could rename it if you want, so it's not like emote saxophone, so it's actually called like phone it in. And so you've got the sound, you've got the emote. Now we actually set the emote up. If you know how to set emotes up, you can probably skip this. But if you don't, I'll show you how, and I'll also show you a way to do it that makes it really easy to apply these emotes to another character, because you'll notice that all my characters have the same emotes. That's just because I set it up once and copy it over to all of them, just like the rigging. So, do you want to create, right-click the character, create empty, and name something like Fortnite Dances. Make sure you like the name as it is, as you can't change this later once you create the animation. You, again, click create empty, and this is where each emote is going to go, so phone it in. And you go to your music, and you drag in, phone it in, directly onto the game object. It'll create this audio source. And now you want to disable it, because if you leave this enabled, it'll run at, like, it'll start playing music the second you load your avatar in, and usually people don't like that, so don't. You then need to, in the animation, because currently the animation contains the dance, but it doesn't contain the thing telling it to turn on the music. So, as with any animation when you're doing it, you want to create a duplicate of your character by selecting the character and pressing Control D, because sometimes it messes up the pose, and if you mess up the pose, you'll have to redo everything. So just make a duplicate. Drag phone it in onto the character, and you'll see it creates something down here. We'll delete that later, but we need it now. Click on the character, and now you need to modify the animation, and to do that, you need the animation window tab. So go to Window, Animator. No, not Animator. Window, Animation. Animation. There we go. And mine's down here. I put it down there. Once you've got this popped up, you can click this button. This will start recording whatever we do. So if we start recording and we turn on phone it in and we stop recording, you'll see now that down here we have phone it in and it's enabled it. And you can check by clicking play if it starts playing the music. And it does. So we can stop that. And now just delete your duplicate. And so now the sound file, now the animation file, tells the sound file to turn on. So if you wanted to take this to any other character, you just drag, just drag this into anywhere in the file area, and it'll create a prefab. And now, let's say we wanted to put the dances on Black Knight or something. We come over here, and we just go and drag a prefab onto him, and he's got the dances on him as well. But we don't have something to tell the game to actually use that animation. We need a custom animation override controller. So go to your Vrchat SDK, examples, sample assets, animation, and you want the custom override empty, and press Control D to make a duplicate. And drag that somewhere that you'll find it again, because if you're going to be reusing this, you don't want it in some weird folder. I have a common folder for my stuff. I need to delete this because that is from when I did it before, and it doesn't like me having duplicate things. And so you drag it in. And now we've got emote 1 through 8. We go. Make sure when you have this selected, you don't click over here because that gets rid of it. So you want to keep it selected and click over here. Animations, and find your animation, phone it in, and drag that into emote 1. And while we're here, we might as well delete this. This we needed when we were doing the animation, but we've already done it, so we don't need that anymore. It gets created for every character. And if we go back to our override, it has phone it in on there. So now we come here, and you'll see custom standing, custom settings, animator override. Drag that right into there. So now if you were to upload this, you have the phone in animation, and if you did the animation right, it should turn on this here, which will start playing the sounds. And so if you wanted to do this for any other character, like, what did I do? Never, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, if you want to put it on any other character, like Beef Boss here, you just go and drag your prefab in for the sound, and drag in your custom override here, and there you got your dances. You can do this with any other model, any other Fortnite model, in fact, any other, like, MMD model, anything you get from VRC mods. That's the beauty of it. Alright, and so that should be my conclusion to my tutorial. Like I said, this was completely like unrehearsed. I did this from scratch. However, I did repeat this lag segment because I fucked up and didn't record. I am recording. Yes. Okay. If you've got any questions, join my Discord. We've got other model rippers. We can help you. If I am not clear about anything, ask me, DM me. I'm not afraid to be DM'd. And yeah, thanks for watching, I guess.